Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Mini Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out an early version of something called The Forgotten Crypt by developer Gagepunk Games. This is a first-person horror game designed for the Asylum Jam Game Jam competition, where we're going to be doing some exploration of, I think, potentially an endless series of catacombs, while also doing a bit of inventory management and avoiding the usual skeleton. We've got a little bit of a problem here because I've actually sat on this title screen so long that my torch went out. Oh no! Well, you know what? That might actually heighten the spooky scariness of this whole thing. So, you know, bear with me. We'll figure it out. If need be, I guess we'll restart or something. But let's start the game. I've done one sort of pseudo run in this, but I didn't really get very far. So I'm not really sure what exactly lies ahead of us, and I'm kind of curious to see. So let's pick up this large med kit, some water, another med kit, some matches. Goal is to get as deep into the crypt as possible and survive. Press tab to view your stats, click on items to use them, clicking on a torch will relight it and consume a matchbox. Oh, a whole matchbox. Man, you used the whole thing. Use WASD to move, space to jump, shift to sprint, F to toggle your torch. Alright, well, I can't toggle my torch, so I have no torch. Is there a way to relight? I guess probably the torch just stays stationary, right? And then we'll just click this and it'll... Okay. So let's go find some more matches, I suppose. And I believe this is actually procedurally generated because I did my other one run of this. And I don't think there was a pit, like, immediately when I walked through there. So I guess let's just go deep, go far, and see what we can find. We'll also, again, looking for some resources. When I was playing this, trying to get my levels, I actually realized... Ooh... Did you hear that? I thought I heard something shift. It could have been a spooky skeleton. When I was playing this, getting my sound levels, I kind of realized that this is something that I think needs to be elaborated upon, this kind of an idea. I've seen a lot of games that do procedural first-person horror in various ways, you know, much to mixed effect, honestly. I haven't seen one that has been absolutely, like, the perfect thing that I've been looking for, but I realized, like, how much it would be awesome to have, like, a first-person survival game. Oh, God! He just came running straight at my face. That is unpleasant. But I love a first-person horror survival game that actually takes, you know, your character's life kind of seriously, sort of like The Long Dark, where you have, like, all these realistic stats or naturalistic stats that you need to maintain and watch out for, and actually have some sort of progression to it. And I could even see, you know, juxtaposing a serious presentation and a naturalistic simulatory experience with actually having some, like, first-person shooter tropes or, like, Binding of Isaac-style supernatural craziness. Oh, well, alright. I guess once they see you, you don't really have much of a chance to get away, do you? My damage is already pretty high, so I'm going to use a large med kit there, and we're also going to hydrate. Because if I know anything about exploring endless catacombs, it's that you don't want to end up dehydrated, or you'll end up a bleached set of bones like these pursuers that we seem to find ourselves involved with all of a sudden. And out of nowhere. I think that's probably, if there's a problem in anything so far, and I think this is still a work in progress. Oh, this actually changed. Okay, that's interesting. If there is a problem, it's probably that you have, like, no time to realize that you're under attack. With the very tight claustrophobic corridors that are around, basically every time you run into something, you're gonna literally run into it. Like, by the time you see it, it's already on top of you. I would love the opportunity to race this thing, or, like, to try and run away. See, it's facing me, and it runs at me, and I don't even have time to look in the other direction, turn around. I don't know, you guys can try your luck. Maybe you have better skills and timing when it comes to this stuff, but, you know, I don't feel like there's a lot of time. Okay, so we got another med kit. I hear some bones rustling over there. Oh, alright, there's a bone man right there. Let's jump in this pit and see. Hopefully he can't chase us down. He can. Alright, so I've got a skull factor going on right now. Let's do large medkit again. Okay, that seems to heal me from any point. Probably goes without saying, but this general theme is reminding me a little bit of certain areas from Dark Souls that I probably don't need to get too far into. And in a way, that's kind of cool, actually. It's sort of reminding me of the same sort of level of, you know, decrepitude and decay and just, you know, vile underground death area. Okay, so this guy's stuck in the wall. Let's, like, capitalize on that and go in the other direction. And I would love it if we could harness that theme even to a greater degree and really get, like, down and dirty with that whole concept. Just go all the way to draining out the dam full of dead bodies and you know what I'm talking about. And then have to walk over them and, you know, go all the way in with the horror theme. If you're gonna go in, go all the way. Okay, let's drink some water, I guess, so that way we can free up an inventory slot. But I really like the fact that we've got some inventory management to go with something like this. I mean, I've seen it done before, but it does add a whole nother layer to things. And if there was also, like, you could get wet and then get cold factor, or you end up with, like, crumbling caverns and things. Like, I know the dungeons, or I don't know if dungeon's the right word. Oh, I have no matches anymore. That's not good. Okay, so now we've entered a new realm of terror here. But yeah, I know the dungeon sort of rearranges itself, which is cool, but also it's super unpredictable, and I also don't know if it's because it actually needs to rearrange itself or just because the game was kind of coded in such a way that it draws in these modular chunks and segments, and I know you guys can't really see much of anything right now, and I don't have a hope of showing you anything ever again if I don't find another matchbox. But yeah, it's just kind of like, I wonder if that's the way the rendering engine works for this, if it's just streaming in new chunks in a modular fashion every time I turn away from a certain point, or if the goal really is to just be extra confusing based on that. Oh, dead end. Well, I guess in a good way, you'll never really get stuck, because if you ever find yourself lost, you know, anywhere you explore is as good as any other place. It's just a matter of time until you find a pit to the next zone. Also, a little bit of differentiation in the locale would be kind of cool. I mean, not that I don't get, like, there's actually a pretty good amount of differentiation. We've got a bunch of, you know, these brick areas that break through. We've got some walls. We've got stairs that go up and down, and all kinds of, like, little walls with skeleton heads all over the place. Skulls is what we used to call those. And then, of course, we've got the pits, which are pretty creepy by themselves. So, you know, there are some things going on there. It's just for the sake of vanity, I guess. If this wasn't in a game jam style presentation and there was all kinds of extra time, I would think one of the first things that would want to be elaborated upon is the visual presentation, because it's actually pretty good for what it is. Just needs more. I think that's just a little bit more. And like I said, all these factors and variables could just be elaborated upon pretty simply without really even thinking too hard about them. It's just all about implementing them, which I know is not exactly the easiest thing of all time. Alright, so we've run into a wall. I'm sorry that you guys have to stare at this dark screen for all this time. I'd much prefer to have matches. I kind of wonder, too, if this is really that big of an issue. Like, as far as game balance goes, like, would it really be worth punishing the player by not having a light source? Because in terms of what the light is actually giving me in gameplay is more just to do with comfort. It's not actually making the game much of any harder. You know, the skeleton guys are going to see me anyway. As soon as I walk into them, they're going to be right there. So having the ability to have a slightly longer draw distance is not going to make a massive difference in terms of my playstyle. It's just about, like, can I see? And whether I can see or not, I'm not really going to be changing my gameplay tactics very much. And I guess that's sort of a thing that we would need to address if this was to be elaborated upon, like I'm hoping it will be. So, yeah, the other thing is just if you have a better sense of progression would be great. And I think that's what I'm really hitting on when I'm talking about differentiating the visuals. Because right now, I think every level is basically the same as every other level. It's just kind of looping in upon itself forever. And it works for the sake of continuation. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I thought I just turned around and then that shelf entirely disappeared. Also, the matches are, I think, a little bit too sparse, unless I've just been getting really unlucky. I do know where they tend to spawn. Alright, well, I guess I walked into a skeleton there. I'm kind of thinking maybe we should just, like, end the video, because I don't really know, like, how much longer you want to stare at this screen that you can barely see anything of at all. I'll, of course, try and lighten this and post a bunch, but still, it's going to be super dark. One nice touch, though, is that the developer has actually implemented, I guess, some sort of stat tracking, so wherever we get to as far as, you know, how many levels down we've gotten, that'll actually show up in the stats screen at the title screen. So, you know, I always value that. I think I'm about to die. Oh, it actually says it in here, too. I didn't realize. And we've got a timer. I didn't even look at this part of the screen. I was so worried about looking at my inventory. And you don't dehydrate very quickly either, which is probably good. But does it matter how many days I spend in the crypt? Like, it's really probably just about marking time and also giving some sort of, like, context to why you're dehydrated or something. So you can look at the time and go, oh, well, I haven't drank any water in this many days. Of course I would be that dehydrated, so, you know, for that reason, I guess it makes sense. But, Okay, flashing skull means I think I'm about one hit away from death. And I died. I guess there was a skeleton waiting for me at the bottom of that fall. So, fair enough. We get a torch back. We get to be brought back to our title screen. Seems like that all makes sense. So that was the Forgotten Crypt. Pretty cool presentation. I would definitely like to see more from this game. I kind of went over a ton of different ideas of what I think could make this even better, but I do think it's a pretty cool start, and as far as a Game Jam game, please do take any criticism with a grain of salt. I completely understand that the constraints are there, and I wouldn't expect even necessarily this much stuff to be going on in the game in that short amount of time. But anyway, that's going to do it for the Forgotten Crypt. If you want to go check this out yourself, you can play it right in your browser. There may or may not be a downloadable version of it, but regardless, you know, play it in your browser works just fine, and you don't even have to download anything anyway. So that link's going to be in the description, as well as my other social media links. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, so it helps me out to help spread the word about new and artistic, original, and generally unknown indie games. That's kind of my goal here on Indie Impressions. And if you enjoy that goal, if you think that's a reasonable goal that you would want to back and get behind, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. That also helps me a whole bunch and keeps things moving forward with some good momentum. So anyway, that'll do it for another day, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for another video. Have a good night.